Hey guys, and welcome to a brand new video here on FPL Now. Today we're going to be going over my final thoughts ahead of the Game Week 23 deadline. Now we have just had an announcement of double game weeks for both Watford and Burnley, so we're going to be talking about that today. King or Dennis, captaincy choices, all of that will be covered. So if you're excited for the video, as always, make sure to drop a like down below. Let's try and hit 50 likes. Leave a comment. What are you doing with your team now, thanks to the double game week news? Are you still rolling a transfer? Are you bringing in a Watford player? Subscribe if you're brand new. Ring the notification bell. With all of that out of the way though, let's get into the video, and I really hope that you enjoy. So, starting things off, as things stand, this is my current Game Week 23 team. So I've got De Gea in goal at home to West Ham. I've got Trent, Cancelo and White at the back. In midfield, I have Rafinha, Bowen, Jota and Foden. And then up front, I have Antonio, King captain and Watkins. Now, originally, I was going to have Cancelo as my captain, but because of the double game week news, I've decided to opt with King. Now, of course, the big debate is King or Dennis. Who do you go with? Which we're going to be talking about later on in the video. We're going to take a look at all the stats and everything like that and see who is probably on paper the better option to go with. But yeah, as this is my team right now, I do only have one double game week player. Watford is not the only team that are doubling though. Burnley are also doubling, but really at the end of the day, do you look at that Burnley team and be like, okay, I need to bring one of those players in? Like, Cornet is probably the best option, but he's injured. Ben Mee maybe, but when's the last time Burnley kept a clean sheet? You know, they're very, very bad at the back, struggling this season, sitting very comfortably at the bottom of the Premier League table. And I guess Nick Pope, maybe if you really wanted to go above and beyond and get all of these double game week players in. But honestly, it's not a great double game week. Like, you're really going to be concentrating on Watford players. I know Burnley players have 5 games in hand, but they're just so lackluster this season. I just don't really see the point of wasting free transfers or even taking hits to bring in Burnley players when they're not going to be getting much at all. But either way, that is my team for Game Week 23. I'm going to talk about my transfer and everything that I think I'm going to be making later on in the video. But first of all, let's go over the stats for both King and Dennis, because that's the big question of the week. Who do you bring in and who do you captain between King or Dennis? I mean, you don't have to captain or bring in any of them if you really want to no-balls it, but they are obviously the options that a lot of people are going to be bringing in. So this is all taken from Fantasy Football Hub. Have just recently partnered with them. Honestly, they just show like all the stats that you need to know for decisions like this, especially between two players. You can compare stats and everything, and when you're thinking of King or Dennis, it is just what you need to know before making that decision, before clicking that transfer button. They also go over like clean sheet potential for teams and stuff, which I've also took a look at, whether to bring in Foster or not, which is the transfer that I'm thinking of making, which I'll talk about later on in the video. But anyway, the big question that I'm sure you wanted to know is King or Dennis. So as you can see on Fantasy Football Hub, they have all the stats here. They have the points, the goals they've scored over the last 5. This is between Game Week 17 and 22. Now, of course, Watford have not played 5 games between Game Week 17 and 22, so this is only 3 games worth of stats, but still nice to take a look at for who you think about bringing in. So as you can see on King's stats, he's scored no goals in the last 3 and he's had 1 assist. His XG is 1.03. He's created he's had 2 big chances, should I say. He's had 6 shots in the box. He's had 3 shots on target. So for every shot, for every 2 shots that King has, 1 is against the goalkeeper and 1 ends up in Rosette. But then he's also had 13 touches in the box. He's had 28 final third passes. He's had 1 through ball, 5 crosses, created 6 chances. So King is the more creative player, but he's obviously scoring less, because when you look at Dennis, he scored 1 goal in the last 3. He's had 0 assists. His XG is 0.83. So his XG isn't actually as high as King's, which is obviously something to take into consideration. He's had 1 big chance. He's had 4 shots in the box, 3 on target. So for every shot that Dennis has, he's much more likely to hit the target instead of King, who's just, you know, firing wide or whatever. He's had 15 touches in the box, so that's more touches than King. So again, you want your striker in the box. You want him there shooting in the box, because that's the best chance of scoring. He's had no through balls, he's had 4 crosses, and he's created 2 chances. So on paper, I personally believe that King is a little bit better on stats wise. He's also on penalties. He's cheaper by 0.3 than Dennis. And yeah, he's not only having more shots, but he's also, as I say, creating more chances. The only problem is, everybody's jumping on the Dennis bandwagon because stats mean one thing, the actual result means another. And Dennis is the one that's scoring. Now, I know that King got his hat-trick earlier on in the season and stuff, and, you know, whether he can replicate that against Norwich or Burnley, who knows, but Dennis could also get a hat-trick against either of those teams. I think that King is a little bit less likely to be subbed off. Dennis has been being subbed off in like 80 minutes or something, which obviously isn't too bad, but it's still hindering your chances a little bit. I think King is much more fixture-proof and is going to play 90s. He's not really a risk. And again, he is also on penalties, which is a nice bonus. So on paper, with these stats, I personally think that King is a better option. Again, don't listen to me if you don't want to. I'm just showing you the stats of the players. King, I think, is better for... He's shooting more, but he's also creating more chances, whereas Dennis is just shooting more. He's not really creating as much. Again, might be a little bit more of a minutes risk, but again, could pop off this weekend. You could have both. You know, both is the situation that a lot of people have found themselves in, having both King and Dennis up front. If you want to bring both in, you know, the world's your oyster, why not? I personally am not going to do that because I know that more double game weeks is going to happen in the future, and I don't want to be taking hits to bringing in more like Watford players. Like, Watford have not been good this season. Like, they have been scoring goals, but they've not kept a clean sheet at all for any of the games that they've played, which is also why I'm kind of umming and ahhing about bringing Foster in. But they are the stats for King and Dennis. Again, this is all on Fantasy Football Hub. I'll link it in the description down below if you do want to sign up. It's super cheap, and again, you get all the stats and everything for literally everything. You can compare any players, and you can take a look at all team stats and everything like that. But yeah, that is King versus Dennis. So this is my transfer kind of situation at the moment. I've got one free transfer. I've got 5.8 mil in the bank. Now, I'm not going to go on a spending spree because that is for Salah. The thing is, do I bring Foster in? That is that's the kind of situation that I found myself in, because obviously I don't need to. I can play De Gea instead. But when you take a look at Watford's defensive stats this season, they've not kept a clean sheet out of the 19 games that they've played so far, which isn't really giving me any reason to bring in Foster. Now, Foster is only 0.1 more than Steele. It'd be nice to have that backup keeper for when I play my bench boost and stuff. I don't have to worry about that then. And again, I don't really need to make any transfers anywhere else in my team. You know, I do still have Rudiger and Reguilon that I will have to get rid of next week. I'll be getting rid of Rudiger next week regardless because he blanks. Plus, I'm going to need that money to bring Salah in as well, because I'm probably going to upgrade Gray into Salah and then downgrade Rudiger into a 4.5 mil player. Probably someone that doubles if there are double game weeks in 24. And then I'm just chilling because I'll have a nice team, and I'll have Salah back. Plus, I'll have a backup keeper. But that would also mean that I take a hit next week. So really, it depends if Foster is going to score. I think he needs to score more than... I think if he scores more than 6, then it's a good decision. If he doesn't score more than 6, it was a bad decision. Because obviously De Gea is going to play this week. He's probably going to get 2 points, maybe 3 if he pulls off quite a few saves against West Ham. But I also have Bowen and Antonio, so I don't really want both of them playing against my goalkeeper, because, you know, if one of those scores, it's bad for De Gea. If neither of them score, it's good for De Gea. Whereas if I played Foster, who has both Norwich and Burnley, which are really, really nice fixtures, one at home, one away, I think I'd be a little bit more comfortable with that. But at the same time, they have not kept a clean sheet this season, so I really don't know what to do in the situation. I'm really not sure. It's I either bring in Foster this week, have a nice double for him, and then take a hit next week to bring Salah back in, or I roll my transfer, don't have Foster, and then obviously don't need to take a hit next week. I can just use 2 free transfers to bring Salah in and take Rudiger out. The only problem is a lot of people are going to be playing Foster this week. A lot of people have him as their backup keeper, so they're just going to be playing him regardless. And if he does pop off, you know, if he does get like out of nowhere like 2 clean sheets, makes a bunch of saves, and ends up getting like a 15-16 bomb, that's gonna absolutely ruin me. So it's a tough one. It's really a tough one. I'm not sure. I think the safest thing is to bring in Foster, and I don't have to worry about him popping off. I know if I bring him in, he's gonna get 3 points. If I don't bring him in, he's gonna get 18. I just know that's the situation. So yeah, I'm really not sure. But captaincy options, if you're not going with King or Dennis, you know, you're not too bothered about bringing them in, I think Cancelo is a nice option this week. I think Jota is a nice option. Maybe even Rafinha at home to Newcastle. Could go with Trent if you really wanted to. I don't think there's a massive standout captain. When Salah's not here, it does make the game a little bit more exciting, because you generally can go a little bit out of your comfort zone with who you captain, and sometimes it, you know, goes really well, sometimes it doesn't. But I think the majority of players are going to be captaining either King or Dennis this week. And as I've just been over with the stats, I think that King is a better option. I mean, I'm not just saying that because I have him. The original reason I brought King in was because he was just on penalties, and I thought he was a little bit more, not dangerous in the box, but he was shooting more and stuff like that. I could have easily brought Dennis in as well. I also wanted to money manage a little bit for bringing Salah in, because, you know, at 0.23 difference, it does go a long way when you're bringing Salah back in. Hopefully Salah has another price dropping down to 12.6, makes life a lot easier to bring him back in. But that is going to be my game week 23 final thoughts. I think that's everything that I kind of really wanted to talk about. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure to drop a like down below, leave a comment, what are you doing with your team now, subscribe if you're brand new. That's everything from me. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and until next time, peace.